What's up guys, Robert Allen here, hope you're doing well. Super excited to welcome you to my channel and officially kick things off. You know, one of my goals of this channel was to build a place that freelancers and copywriters could come to hang out and learn some of the things that I wish I knew when I was first getting started as a freelancer. You know, some of you know my story and how I didn't know anything about copywriting. I actually studied banking and finance in college and then kind of got thrown head first into the industry. And I remember what it was like to really be trying to sift through all these resources and be like, how do I figure out where to start and how to actually become a really good copywriter? And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kick things off with this video that's gonna be all about 3 ways to write better copy for free. You know, a simple Google search for different things on copywriting will return back to you hundreds of different tips, and a lot of them are books and a lot of them are courses and a lot of them are, you know, just scattered resources across the internet. And back when I was first getting started, I would just kind of throw myself into all of them. And I was buying all these courses, buying all these books. But at the end of the day, I needed to learn how to be a better copywriter fast, because I was working as a copywriter with Ramit Sathi's company, and I had to keep that job to pay rent. And so these are some of the things that I learned that allowed me to quickly develop the skill of copywriting and actually become a lot better writer without investing a ton of resources and time and money into other things. So without further ado, let's get right into this first video. It's gonna be all about 3 ways to write better copy for free. Number 1, simplification. Guys, you know, one of the things that we're trained to do throughout school and throughout our entire lives is to write copy and to write words and sentences and papers that are, you know, long and complex, and they're, you know, using big words. But copywriting is the total opposite. Actually, what you'll find is the simpler your copy is, the better it will convert. In fact, they've done studies on this. You know, some of you guys may be familiar with Agora Financial, the big publisher who, you know, has produced hit sales letters that have converted tens, hundreds, even I think over $1 billion in some cases. And one of the things that they try to do is, you know, they have copywriters testing copy for them all around the world, and they are shipping promotions at any given time on any given day. And they wanted to make a system of this. So one of their head publishers was like, hey, let's go study all of our hits, because, you know, we have some that are massive successes and some that have, you know, been kind of flops. And then what they wanted to do is see if there's a commonality between all of them. Maybe one of them had a specific type of guarantee, or, you know, they were all on a specific type of big idea. And what they found was they had nothing in common that people thought. The one thing that all of them had in common, though, was they were written on a 5th grade level or below. And one of the reasons that this is true is because, you know, when you are writing copy and you are writing things that you want people to read, simple is so much better, because your eyes can just, you know, they can understand things, particularly when you're writing something about health or finance. You know, you don't want to have to be thinking super hard, because if you're thinking, you're not in a buying mode. And so when you go to actually write copy, one of the most powerful things that you can do is to simplify copy that you're just going to write naturally. And this was one of the things that they told me to do when I was first getting started with my first job as a copywriter. You know, first thing that I turned in, one of my copywriting mentors, he said, you know, Rob, this isn't terrible copy, but, you know, it's just not going to convert. And he showed me this application called Hemingway, and I would encourage all you guys to use this tool. It's an online application. It's totally free to use. You can just copy and paste text into it, and what you'll do is it'll spit back a readability score for you. So you might find out what you wrote is on an 8th grade level. And so what you can do is you can actually edit it within Hemingway to reduce that reading level down. And so back to what I was telling you about the example with me is I turned in this piece of work. It was written on an 8th grade level. He's like, I want you to get this to a 3. And I was like, cool, that's like a huge cut. And what he showed me was, you know, it's going to involve some shortening of sentences, but it's also going to involve some shortening of ideas and making things come across a lot more clear. And Hemingway will actually show you the big flaw spots in your writing. But one of the big things is just, you know, imagine you have a sentence, and one of those sentences is, you know, 30 something words long. And, you know, to get this idea into someone else's head, you know, that's so hard. Whereas you might be able to express that same idea in just 3 to 5 words. And this application will show you how to do that. So one of the biggest things you can do as a copywriter is to go in and actually simplify writing that you're going to already do. Just make it a checklist to-do item that you do at the end of every project. I actually recently just tested this out with my own list. I wrote this email that I thought was amazing. And I always send it to my business partner and girlfriend right before I send it out. And she's like, I don't know about this. I'm not sure that this is something you should actually send to your list. And I was like, well, I feel pretty strongly about it. And I was like, as I was rereading it and I was, kind of absorbing the material, I was like, you know what? This is just very dense. It's hard to read. So I took it and copy and pasted it in Hemingway. And I found out it was written on a 9th grade level, which guys, for copywriting, that is like a red flag. That's basically just like off the charts. So all I did is just go in there, shorten up some of the sentences, make ideas come across a little bit more crisp. And at the end of the day, it went down from being like a 2,100 word email down to 1,892 words, which is still a super long email. But I edited it all the way down to a 3rd grade level. And here's what happened. It was one of the highest response rates I've ever gotten to any email that I've sent. And it was virtually the same idea. All I did though was take it and go and actually simplify it down. Because the thing is like what I was saying about copywriting is like, if it's hard, people are going to stop. But if it's easy, people's eyes will just kind of naturally keep going on to the next line. Whereas this, they get to here. But if you can just figure out a way to shorten these things, you can actually get them reading throughout the entire piece. So that is number 1 tip. Just do this and you will absolutely become a better writer. And it's totally free to use. This application is free. Yeah, I'll actually link it down in the show notes for you guys. But, make this a to-do list that you do at the end of ordinary writing that you're already going to be doing as a copywriter. Will make a world of a difference. I always aim for a 5th grade level just because that's that famous Agora study. But, if you can get to that sweet spot around 3, it can make a huge difference. So let's get into number 2 now. Number 2, rewrite hits for your offers. One of the most common pieces of advice copywriters are given when they are told to, I want to be a better copywriter. What do I do? They are told to go get successful sales letters and rewrite them by hand. And, I actually tried this for about 30 days when I first got started as a copywriter. I had old sales letters from like Dan Kennedy and John Carlton and, all those old school guys, and I had them printed out. And I was taking them, I would have one on one side of my desk and my blank piece of paper on the other, and I would just start with the headline. The one secret that the 3-legged golfer or the 1-legged golfer used, or literally just word for word. And I tried this for about 30 days, and here's what happened. I started to notice a pattern. As I would start to write this thing, I would just totally zone out. And my mind would just be drifting to thoughts about what I was having for dinner or breakfast or different assignments. And at the end of the day, I kind of took a step back at the end of 30 days and was like, I don't really think this helped me very much. And so I took this to my mentor and I said, hey, I've tried this thing that everyone's saying, say rewrite, old sales letters by hand. I tried for 30 days. I don't really notice a huge improvement. Should I just keep doing it longer? And he said, dude, you're doing this totally wrong. You don't want to just copy these sales letters by hand. Your mind is totally disengaged in that process. If you're trying to just, you're just transcribing something in one place to another, your mind is not actively thinking. What you need to do is, if you want to go this way, you need to rewrite those hit sales letters for your offers. And so at the time, it was for the company I was working with. What I would do is I would find the hit sales page that would say, start out with, the one secret that this 1-legged golfer used. And I instead of just rewriting it word for word, I would try to find a parallel story or a parallel thing in what we were doing. And the reason that this actually allowed me to quickly progress as a copywriter is because it turned on my mind. So instead of just passively transcribing some document, my mind was turned on and I was looking for patterns and I was like, oh, I actually see the structure of this sales page. And so you're looking at these components instead of, just mindlessly just writing something. And so over time, I start to see some patterns of like, oh, guarantees are typically worded like this. If I just kind of, rewrite the guarantee and kind of fill in the blank that that would apply to our company and our products, I have this bank of copy that I'm starting to form. And I start to see headlines that are very similar to, headlines that I could write for our offers, because I'm just filling in the blank with their subject, the thing that happens to them, or, their product with ours. And this is one of the ways that you guys anybody can quickly start to become a better copywriter. I actually even recommend doing this for emails as well. So what you can do is start to keep a collection of some of the hit emails and sales pages from the gurus and people that you follow. And what you'll do is you'll just start to, copy it into a document. And then as you see words that apply specifically to them, fill it in the blank with your offers. And this, guys, and you really want to do this by hand, because you don't want to just like copy and paste in a document, because if you're just find and replace, not really turning on that mental thing. But over time, you will start to build an archive of, oh, we need to write a headline like this, and oh, we need to write the lead like this, and oh, the guarantee needs to be like this, and you'll just quickly be able to write copy that you'll pull on. And at the end of the day, you don't want to plagiarize, so you don't want to just like, steal it at one for one and ship this stuff out. Like a lot of the stuff will just have to stay in private. But over time, you can actually start to build, these templates where, you're able to go quickly. But you'll also be able to build these like Frankenstein style sales pages where it's like, oh, I want to steal this, this headline structure and this guarantee. And you'll be able to put these things together where you're building this recipe that involved all these different components, and then they come together uniquely to make something that's special to you and what you have. And so I would really recommend this to any new copywriters, who, really want to double down on the skill of persuasion, because this allowed me to really quickly start to, see some of those patterns, build some templates and things of that nature. So now let's get into number 3. Number 3, have your copy read to you. One of the most common pieces of advice that we'll get as copywriters, they would say, what you need to do is just learn to write like you speak. The closer that you can write to the way that humans sound, the better your writing will be. And that's very true. We used to have something at one of my previous companies, at Ramit Sadie's company, where we called it the barstool test. And we would just kind of flag copy as we're editing, and we're like, this doesn't sound like a human would say it. And this is actually a very powerful editing technique. But if you're like me and, you're writing copy in coffee shops, or, you wake up early and you just can't, read out loud without seeming like an absolute psychopath, one of the things that you can do is there's this free application. It's called Natural Speech Reader. And I use this on a daily basis. And what I do is I'll just take copy that I'm already writing, and I'll copy and paste it into this application. And what it does is, you copy and paste it, and then you hit play, and it will have a robotic sounding voice actually read your copy back to you. And what I do is I close my eyes and I just kind of listen to the copy one time through, and I just listen to it, for the flow. And as I'm listening to it, I'm noticing some spots, and I'm just like, oh wow, yeah, this transition sounds a little rough, or ooh, that doesn't really read super smoothly as I thought it would when I wrote it down. And then I'll go in, and you can actually use the same document to edit your work. And you can edit it, as you're playing it, as you're playing it out loud. You're hearing it in your earphones, and you're hearing that copy. You're smoothing out that transition. You play it again. Then you go a couple lines down. Oh, that verb could be stronger, or that transition was really, really rocky. Or I need a proof point. I don't believe you. Like my skepticism is being raised. Guys, this is one of the steps that I add all the time. And actually, I want to tell you a quick story about it. One time I was about to send copy over to my editor. We were on a super tight deadline. And he was like, hey, I need to see the document. I was like, I'm not really finished editing it just yet. And he's like, I need to see it anyway. So I was like, oh, dang. So I sent him over the copy, and he tore it to shreds. It was leaving comment, all these different places. And I was like, golly, can a man just, rest for a second? And then I was like, you know what I need to do? I need to actually have this copy played back to me, and I need to, make this sound like a person who's going to speak, because it was actually going to be for a VSL. So it couldn't just stand alone as text. So what I did was I took the document that I had, copy and pasted in there, made my edits using this natural speech reader. The robot helped me edit it. And what happened was I sent him back the document with the edits that only I had applied by just listening back to the copy using this free tool. And he was like, dude, this is so good. And I was like, huh. You know, I didn't actually address any of the edits that he left in the comments that he left in that Google document. All I did was have this read back to me. And, you know, we've tested this time and again. The more you can get that copy to flow, you know, you can see upwards of 100, 200, even 400% improvement on your copy's conversion rate when it is more, you know, natural sounding. So hopefully you guys got some value out of this. These are 3 totally free things that you can do to quickly improve your skill as a copywriter. You know, these are the things that when I would do them, I just made them a simple checklist that I would, you know, on a weekly basis, I would rewrite a certain number of promos or emails, and I would always, you know, have my copywriter back to me or reduce that reading level. So if you guys like this, if you guys are enjoying this type of content, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You'll be putting out a lot more content like this in the future. And so I'd love to hear what you think, and just drop me a note down in the comments. I'm gonna be responding to all of them within the first 24 hours. And I will see you guys in the next video.